So, 3 decades with Bowie is what I've heard. Is that true?
It's 1972, hired for 8 weeks, and between 72 and 75, I played with 5 different bands, ending up with Luther Vandross as a background singer with us, and Dave Sanborn playing saxophone.
Yeah, I know him.
And then I moved off into the jazz world for quite a few years, and then came back again in '92 and been working with him since again. So from 1972, which was the first American tour he did, and we're still going, so that's a lot of years.
Did you know Mick Ronson?
I played with him for 2 years, and I did both of his CDs, and he was, of course, in the Spiders from Mars.
Yeah.
And I was the additional element to the Spiders from Mars. I was the American when they decided to add piano on the first tour. So we were great friends.
So, you know, Mick, I met Mick only for a short time. We lived together really for a month. In 1982, I was in T-Bone Burnett's band.
Right.
I played on a couple solo albums, and then we had this band together, the ones that, you know, basically the band that played on his records, and we were playing around town, and he got a call from, I guess, from Pete Townsend to do The Who, to open for The Who's last tour in 1982. This is before, well, it was their last tour until this tour. And David Mansfield was the guitar player, and he was getting ready to move to New York, and he was scoring films, and he just said, I need to really put my foot in the film world, and I can't go. So T-Bone knew Mick, and so Mick came and played guitar on that tour. And so we lived together, where we shared cars together and, you know, traveled.
That's wonderful. A great guitar player.
Oh,
right?
he was wonderful.
And a good piano player and a good arranger.
And a good hair cutter. He said, you need a hair. I said, I needed a haircut. And he said, I'll cut it.
Mick Ronson is one of those unsung heroes.
He's something special.
When we'd be on the stage with Bowie, he'd be singing along with him, and the way the voices matched was uncanny. And his sense of production value. He gave me some very interesting advice in 1973. He said to me, I really like your piano playing, and I don't think you should do too much studio work in Los Angeles or New York. He said you should pick and choose the ones you want. He said, but I don't want to see your music become white toast and people use you and all of a sudden you're a caricature of yourself, and you're just repeating all the same things. And he says, do your own music, do your own concerts, play with some of the big stars that you like, and pick and choose if you do them. And I said, okay, I'll listen to you. And I have. And it was very, very interesting advice. Mick Ronson was the guy who auditioned me for David Bowie.
Oh, really?
I was in Brooklyn giving a piano lesson. I was also babysitting my 2-year-old daughter. My wife was working. The phone call comes in from David Bowie. I said, I don't know who David Bowie is, because I was a jazz musician. They got a kick out of that. And they said, can you be in Manhattan in 20 minutes for an audition for David Bowie and the Spiders from Mars? So I let my piano student babysit my daughter. I got in the car, went from Brooklyn to Manhattan. I was there in 20 minutes, walked into RCA Studios, and each of these guys in the Spiders from Mars and Bowie had a different color hair, but I mean really wild looking, with all kinds of stockings and boots, and one guy had stuff that came down like this, looked like payas or something from the Hasidic tribe, you know, and very red hair from one guy and silver from the other one, and stark blonde. And I come in dressed in dungarees, you know, and black t-shirt. And there's 3 of them behind the glass in the studio, and Mick is at the piano. And he says, come over to the piano. And he shows me the chord changes to a Bowie song called Changes.
Yeah, cha-cha-cha changes.
That's the one. So he puts the music on the piano, and he says, play. So I read down the intro, and I played a few runs, and I remember the chords. As I was looking at him, saying, "Oh, I know what to do with this to make it sound nice." I played for 7, 8, or 9 seconds. I don't remember exactly. And he said, "You got the gig." I said, "I didn't play yet." He said, "No, I could tell."
Yeah.
So he had that perception.
He could tell.
And we had a great time from then on, you know. So I do that for 2 years, hired only for 8 weeks. Then I go off and I play jazz again. So it's nice that you mention him, and it's nice that you work him, because he's obviously starting to get his due now, unfortunately, after his death, you know. But he was a marvelous guitar player.
He knew how to work a big room too. I mean, like,
Oh, my
you know,
God.
100,000, 90,000 people at LA Coliseum. And he had this thing, he had been given, or he came to this band with a MIDI controller guitar and a sound source of some kind, and a foot pedal, and he didn't understand what the sound source was, but he didn't care. It wasn't important. And he would, you know, he'd take a stance like this, and he'd hit a chord and hold his arm up like he would and shake it, and then step on the pedal, and out rhinos, you know, rhinoceros sounds would come. Or else it'd be bees, or just weird, but it was, and he acted not surprised by it, like I meant that sound to come. And it was perfect for the band that we had, and T-Bone was avant-garde in his way.
That's
but
wild.
It was, for opening for The Who, it was us and The Clash.
That's wild.
So we were, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, he was, I miss him.
Oh, yeah.